as many documents, you have to read between the lines. I think the aim is the second paragraph, which says to the bishops, the priests of the society, though the Church labels them as irregular, are capable of receiving the delegation necessary to bless, or to receive the consent of the marriage. So it is, I think, it has to be read as a new step towards the society, in fact. Not at all a step of trying to get the society in the pocket, so to say, but no, on the contrary, to recognize that what we do with Catholic, and telling the bishops, you can give the delegation even to these priests.
Your heart might be in the right place, but this may be the dumbest idea I have ever heard. How did this get started? Who thought it was ever going to work?
And what is very interesting also, it is stated that they speak about our marriages. And they say, in that case, even if diocesan priests would be delegated for, we say, receiving the consent, nevertheless, the Mass itself will be celebrated by a priest of the society. So the fact that there is a clear statement, the priest will celebrate the Mass, priest of the society, it is once again a new step in the right direction, saying that these priests not only can, but will celebrate the Mass.
You should have said no, you should have gone home, you should have thought twice before you let it all go.
First, Rome wants to state that we, in their eyes, are not yet completely in canonical order. So they want to make that statement.
How can you be on the council and not be a master?
So certainly, you can have different ways to look at these texts. You can have a positive or a pessimistic way.
Big smile, trust me.
How Pope Francis deals with us since a certain time, it is very clear that it is a benevolent step against us and not a trap, not a bad hidden trick or catch.
It's a trap!
It's a will that we are treated correctly at all levels. We will try to deal with the bishop, we will try to get the best out of the text. We already have examples right now of bishops, and especially in Argentina, which is the country of the Pope, where simply the bishop has given the delegation to our priest, period. And we expect that that will be the general situation. So the correct interpretation of the text. This does not exclude situation where, let's say, a bishop may be stubborn and so on, will insist in imposing a priest. Then we will have to look into the concrete situation. Definitely, as it is a marriage of, let's say, our faithful, they have a say. And that's why I read it this way, the text, which speaks of in an impossibility of plan A, go to plan B, which is give directly the delegation to the priest of the society. So, I mean, if there are cases where we feel uncomfortable, we have to say it.
Okay.
And it's even in the text, so I don't see much. Probably we'll have here and there some difficulties, but they are not without solution.
Generally speaking, to be naive means you do not think enough. People who are naive tend to believe in whatever they are told, without questioning whether it is right or wrong. As for age, it can be anywhere from 100, Anyone who has not lived through and seen enough of this world is generally referred to as naive.
We will indicate to the different districts a path, a way of handling that case. You may have different situations. In general, as I say, we will try to not to handle this case by case, but to get a general policy with the bishops. And this would mean that there would be a contact with the superior of the district. You can easily imagine that with such a text, most of the bishops don't bother, as it is an opening towards us, and they will just grant it.
So always remember, when dealing with people whom we think have no common sense, what's common to me may not be common to you. And most importantly, remember, be happy, always.
Most of us are not wired to want to run towards danger.
Strictly speaking, we could expect that. It's possible. Let's say that bishops would go against the disposition of the Pope. We know that, and I don't fear that, because we come back to the present situation. And they must have, for that situation, witnesses, and if a priest is available, they take in the priest. When I spoke to the Pope about this present situation of bishops refusing, he said, "But I can give it." It was really interesting that let's say, as an ultimate recourse, we know that, let's say, on the side of the Pope, there is a readiness.
It's a trap!
Even though there are certain claims about us being irregular, the more and more we are treated as if things would be just normal. Say in recent years, everybody has heard about the power of hearing confessions, and worldwide, everywhere, and being not only valid but licit, that is, everybody can, without trouble of conscience, come to the priest of the society. That's an example. Another example is the ordination. Last year I received a letter from Rome telling me you can freely ordain your priest without the permission of the local ordinary.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
So if I can freely ordain, that means that the ordinations is recognized by the Church not just as valid, but in order. If I can freely do it, it's clear that it is just already recognized and accepted. So this is one more step in this acceptance that we are, let me call it, normal Catholics.
I don't wanna be normal like you.
Despite this underlying that we are still not completely in order, let's say more and more this is once again is going on, and it's not the first step, and frankly I don't see there any will to interfere, to take over, but simply the recognition that what we do as Catholics. At the time I wrote to Pope Francis, and we prepared a text to, so to say, to wake up the cardinals, a letter from our three bishops. But I will not say unfortunately, that would not be the right word, but 4 cardinals took the initiative just before we were about to send the letter. That's why, let's say, there was not much noise about it, because it was already done. And so our letter is just remained in the drawer.
And Bishop Fellay said, trust me, trust me, trust me. I know what I'm doing, I have graces of state, trust me.
In fact, we are certainly doing all what we can. with those who raise their voice.
The dopey SSPXs have trusted him. Now they know what they were trusting. At last it's come out exactly what game of footsie he was playing with the Romans, and it's deadly.
I think it is important that people notice that we are no longer the only ones who complain, who denounce, who attack poor situations which are, let's say, harming the souls. One of the reasons why here and there I would not talk immediately, letting their voice appear and not mixing mine with theirs, because usually when we do that, they are disqualified, because this tendency of disqualifying us in the modern church is still very present. And so rather making here their voice, you say, for the whole church is probably better. And everybody anyway knows what we think and our positions. It has not changed, and I may say everybody knows that. So while and as long as there are voices in the church who talk in the right direction, to say that one day or another I would have spoken softly or softer does not change anything in the big picture, in the big fight, which is still there. That's very, very clear. And it does absolutely not mean that we would by politics in order not to, I don't know, jeopardize a possible agreement, which word is not correct, but canonical recognition, that we would lower our voice. That's simply not true.
Kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya, kumbaya, my Lord.
If someone would just be careful and look at all what I write and say and speak and talk, they would say that, no, I just continue, we are still the same, and I insist in Rome to say we are like this and we're not going to change. We may be a little bit less, how do you say that, controversial, attacking the persons, but our reason would not be just a personal gain. What we look for is what is the most efficient to have, so to say, a benefice for the whole church.
Kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya, kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya.
Sometimes you gain more by giving a simple argument in simplicity rather than by barking the argument. So you have to look at the cases. We're still in fight, we know that, and this is definitely not over. Well, we are like that. And it's not just for the pleasure of fighting, but we belong to the militant church. That's why, let's say, there was not much noise about it, because it was already done. And so our letters just remained in the drawer.